is Wednesday. We do have a 12 o'clock class today for the Participate class, so looking forward to that. And we are beginning in the Rise and Shine practice. So go ahead and mute your mics. I'm giving you guys access, but go ahead and turn them back off, and we'll get through this morning's one. And then I'll let you know when we're getting into some of the comment parts of the class. Welcome, welcome. So let's begin our time together in the way that we're invited to begin all of our moments of conscious awareness. And that is to first pause and take a moment to notice how you are connected to and supported by the place where you are seated. Let's look at that together. As you're noticing how you are connected, I'm going to go ahead and write those body parts down into your journal. And then you want to take a moment to notice, what does that quality of support feel like to you? And what do you notice is your challenge for today as you are facing into your day? What stands out for you? And how do you draw those two experiences on your body diagrams? You want to feel where they are occurring and what is occurring. And then we're going to move through how do we relate to that? We're moving through how are we doing that on our own? So, what has been the outcome of us relating to this quality of experience on our own? And then we're going to bring ourselves into an embodied receptivity of the relationship of us walking with the divine of our connection, the divine of our understanding. So let's begin first by taking a moment. We're going to refresh our awareness of what is that quality of the Holy Spirit that is holding us. And how do you see yourself in that? How do you see yourself facing into that challenge? And how do we speak about that challenge? And then my impulse to behave, or your impulse to behave as you're facing into that challenge. And what are the emotions and the sensations that come up, and where do you feel that? And then how does your breathing respond to that challenge? And in the past, when you have faced a challenge like this, what has occurred? And this present challenge makes you think what is going to happen in the future. So you're looking at your diagram that you drew, and you want to see if there's a way that you can use your Theragun, let yourself be led through this. We're offering the experiences, we're doing massage on the experiences that are coming in, both the challenging one and both the aliveness of the Holy Spirit. I want to be massaging around those areas. We're going to take about 5 minutes, and let's do that. Then we're going to get up and do about a 3-minute movement, and then we're going to do a 10-minute rest, and we're going to come back and complete the class, the integration with Christ. So go ahead and grab your Theragun and get into a position where you can access what you're feeling and where you're feeling it. And we're practicing radical slowness with this. So the slower that I go, the more I'm able to breathe to it. And then that part of my body needs to unclench on the exhale. So I'm staying there until that part can unclench. You'll feel sometimes the surrounding areas unclench, but I need to hold it until that part lets go. What's going on? Don't, no, 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 no. Don't look. Come here. Come over here. And essentially, as we're doing the Theragun, we're letting ourselves rest more into how we are carried by God. Listen, buddy, get off of there. Off there. Come on. I have about 3 minutes left. Then we're going to go ahead and I'm going to do a movement. See if there's a movement in your mind that is one of those repetitive flowing movements that feels good to you. I'm going to do some that feel good to me, so feel free to choose something that feels right to you. Or you can follow mine, but just see if there's a way that you can also sense something that you're guided to do. Let's go ahead and stand up. We're going to do about 2 minutes of movement. We have 20 seconds left. And we're going to go ahead and move now down into a 10-minute rest. Go ahead and find yourself in a position laying down. Take a moment now, and you're coming back to taking your time to come back to your seated position and to noticing what is happening. How does that feel after you took some time to move and allow your experiences to have more space to integrate and have some rest to integrate? And we're holding our head and we're saying, God, this is how I've seen this quality of challenge. This is what I see myself doing as I'm facing into this quality of challenge. This is how my brain views it. And we're holding our head. And we're holding how we speak about it. How do we speak about it? And we're noticing our impulse to behave. And then the emotions and the sensations that are coming up, how do you care for them? How do you hold them and take care of them, bringing them into the experience of God's living heart? How do you bring them into that? And my breathing responds to this challenge. We're talking to God, saying, this is how my breathing responds when I am facing into this. And in the past, when you have faced a challenge like this, what was the outcome? We're sharing that with the heart of God and noticing what you are offered back through insight and direction. The present challenge makes me think my future is going to be And then how do you, what are the things that, as you turn to God and you're saying, show me how to navigate through this, show me how to walk in your peace and in your grace as I face into this challenge today. Notice what is revealed in and to and through you. So let's take a moment and notice, what are the things, is there anything that you all want to share, anything that's standing out? I think you guys should have access to your mics. You can turn on the mics and we can share. I don't hear anybody if you're trying to talk. It looks like somebody's trying to, but
I just
there we
turned.
go.
I turned my mic on, and I'm still sitting here in the process. Sometimes it comes really easily, and other times it's like the Polaroid is so cloudy that I can't really even recognize. I know something is coming forward, but it's a very slow process. The one thing that I am kind of like, shame came up a lot for me, and usually it's shame addressing, something that I'm ashamed of. But this morning it's shame to be ashamed. Like,
Right?
yeah,
Like you shouldn't have it. Like
right.
also shame to be angry or shame to like I shouldn't be having any of these emotions.
Yeah, that shame just shouldn't be, period.
Right.
Shame shouldn't be one of my emotions. That's actually what it is.
Right.
Huh. Yeah. Yep, that's what I have, and that's what's in process.
I had something really interesting this morning because in today's class, when we're doing the participate class, we're going to be talking about going through thresholds of capacity, like moving from one capacity to a deeper capacity with your divine connection, and what are the things that happen in that. And for me, the two main thresholds I went through was my near-death experiences, and the one at the beach where I drowned. It was really funny because he's saying, watch what happens if you slow that down. And because of the way the hypothermia was squeezing my body, like I was angry and fighting and confused. I couldn't figure, like I was like freaking out, like you know, but I couldn't move because I was paralyzed by the hypothermia happening in my system. And the big things were like nobody sees me and all of this other stuff, and all of my reaction didn't matter. All my trying to control didn't matter because I was squeezed out of myself and then I drowned. And even in that, the consciousness of what being with all of that happening and then the opening that happening and how I felt God in that space and how Jesus came to me in that space and I could feel the divine connection while conscious in my body. It's like that is what is holding all of us all the time. And we have all this stuff. We have all these stories, all these reactions, all this stuff and everything. And it's like if we can, it's like what he's inviting us to do on these little micro experiences, which is bring this massive power of the divine support into our reactivity, our blindness, our trying to control, and watch how we're just led. Because if we can let ourselves do that, we're being led softly and tenderly, sometimes very abruptly, but still softly and tenderly along our path. And sometimes those things are abrupt, sometimes they're frightening. We're never going to have control over it unless we really say, I'm letting go and allowing myself to be carried where it is that God is taking me next. May God's will be done with my life. And can I trust that those thresholds I'm being taken through are for me to then become able to do it and let go more and be doing it more and more and more carried. And so he's saying, like, look back at all the big turning points in your life and notice how the story can very much be, I'm doing it wrong, they did it wrong, this shouldn't have happened. It can be all of this stuff versus like, this is the path, this is the trail your life was meant to go. And can you see how that same gentleness that we are really embodying and connecting with now was also present then? And then it makes your story kind of, it's like we're letting the divine story come forward like a Polaroid. And in some ways, we're letting our really solid narrative of how we've seen it fade back. What do you guys see or feel when you hear that?
I see a huge invitation with a lot of grace and a lot of love. And at the same time, so I can feel that, and I feel so in awe that I can even feel that. And at the same time, I see like the challenge right next to it.
Yeah.
And so the beauty of this actually is that I can see them right next to each other.
Right.
Opposed
Right.
to this is right and that is wrong.
Right. Exactly. And it's like when those two can come together in my body, it's like then the new thing begins to happen. And I think that the fading back of my really solid story is not necessarily a fading back, it's that envelopment. It's not going away. It's the envelopment. It's like that part finally doesn't have to fight or be in control or be in a state of shame, like it can't do it. It's not supposed to do it. All of my internal, when I was drowning, all of my internal, like that really slow process, I think it took about 5 minutes, and I was very angry. I couldn't figure out why I couldn't get my lungs to work. I couldn't figure out like what was happening. Nobody can see. I could articulate everything that was happening, and none of that mattered. Like I was going to be squeezed out. I was going to be taken down and squeezed out and kind of dunked into the water so that I could have another perspective, so that I could understand what is possible beyond all my control, beyond all, and that I would still be safe even in through that, even in through all of my resources and capacity being taken away. And so when we're looking at, like I have these fish I'm trying to catch in this tank, I'm trying to move my fish down to my neighbor's pond outside. I've gotten almost all the fish caught, but there are like 7 fish that I cannot catch. And I'm taking that water down and down and down and down, down to the bottom. Today, I literally have to take all the water out so they are flopping on the ground so I can grab them and take them into the next place that it's going to be way bigger. They're going to be so much happier, but they are running so hard I can't catch them. And it's so funny how it's like right at this threshold of what I'm doing. Like Jesus is saying, you can do this next weekend, and me, and also you guys that are coming, we can do this next weekend of this 16-hour thing with like joy and relaxation and peace. It's going to be recorded. If it doesn't get recorded right, we'll make it happen. Like we're going to be together and we're going to be able to learn something, and we get to go really slow. We get to be fed. We get to take rest practices. And we probably have a lot of very sympathetic, solid stories around coming together in this new way, because that's what we do. And Jesus is saying, can you come to this like you're going there to rest and like you're going on vacation? Can this be something that is more restorative than it is trying to control? And just notice that invitation. If our invitation is, do you have enough food? Are you bringing enough water to drink? Are you bringing your favorite blankets? Do you have your favorite writing utensil so that you can enjoy this process? And he's working with me to slow down the lessons, slow down the excitement. What stands out for you guys with that as we're preparing for this upcoming weekend, and also just in what you're invited to do today?
Can you hear me, Adrian?
Yep.
Okay. So what's preparing me as I've been going through this week is places in my life where I'm still holding on to old story patterns. And today, what happened in listening to the other participant and you is in your story is that when I was 10, I think, I was at the lake with my family and I was swimming around and didn't realize it and went out really too far. And I started panicking and flailing around in the water. And I looked up at the pavilion where my mother was and I started crying and screaming to help. And my mother seemed to be going in slow motion. I remember watching her take off her watch. It seemed like she was just going so slowly and I was going to die. And she didn't care. And all of these thoughts were going through my head and I was panicking more and more and more. And I realized today that I was wanting my mother to save me. And I was absolutely making it her responsibility to save me. And I was furious at her because she wasn't moving fast enough to do it and I was going to die. And as I was moving forward toward the shore, all of a sudden the teenager in the house next door came racing down and grabbed me up and took me to shore.
Uh-huh.
And I realized that was me looking to somebody in this world to save me. And then God said, wait a minute, you're not going now, and sent this other guy down there to rescue me.
Yeah.
And the rescue was so funny because I was already in water where I could stand up, but I didn't know it.
Right.
So that for me, this was releasing other people from the responsibility of taking care of me and being carried by something that I wasn't aware of that came out of nowhere, which was God, which was my connection with God. And that's still in process right now to get all the little pieces together. But that was just indicative of the other places that I have that same thing going on, where I was expecting someone else to do something for me when in fact, I just needed to rest and relax. Like you were just saying, that's why it fits in with this weekend, to come expecting to enjoy myself and have the things that I need around me to be comfortable while I'm going through the process.
Mm-hmm. And in today's class, what he's saying is that we're gonna connect to, so like you can take that experience if that's still what's present with you at 12, when we do our class today, I mean. And then what he's saying is in that moment, feel that. Like feel the connection, like let that part of yourself feel the connection. And what he's saying is, like, if we look at, one of the things in our advanced class for the people who've been here for a while, we're working through this timeline of our lives and this timeline of the main turning points in our lives, both challenging and also lovely. And he's saying that if you go back through all your turning points and you notice your themes in those, and you notice where was God, can you connect to how God was with you in those moments? And can you really let yourself embody that experience of that? Like receive it now, what wasn't received then. Because we can have, for me, I cognitively see what he's showing me this morning. I cognitively hear what you're saying. And then at the 12 o'clock practice, when we go in and we actually embody that, the aliveness that is pushing us away from that is the aliveness that's pushing us away from being held all the time. And so as we go through these exercises together, we can start to come into a more consistent experience of being carried, because there's nothing that our brain is not carrying maps of. I'm not carried. I'm always abandoned. I'm always this. And it's like, yeah, you're supposed to be. Because then you're never going to find God if you're not. And you're going to be hyper codependent rather than being divinely dependent. We want to be divinely dependent. And that's when we're carried. And we're much more tolerable to be around. And to be of service. Who else has something they might want to add to the conversation? And then we can prepare for our amazing 12 o'clock class.
For me, I just kept saying since yesterday, I feel like I'm at the edge of my capacity. It feels like every 2 weeks the same situation is happening at school. And I just yesterday I was like, what am I missing? Um, I just kept saying like I'm at the edge. I'm stuck. There's nothing, I just feel very stuck. But when you said, this is the trail my life was meant to go on, and that I can do this with joy and peace, I was able to step back a little bit from being forward.
Right.
But still feeling like, almost feels like I'm on the edge of something coming through and on the edge of something happening, but I'm not quite sure what it is. And then I just feel stuck in this. Like I just want this to stop happening. Like, and not quite sure. Not quite sure exactly what is happening, if that makes sense.
Right. Because we're not going to be, right? So when you take that mental, I don't know what's going to happen. So mine this morning were, I don't know. I'm stunned. I'm not sure what's coming next. Nobody understands this because you have me so far forward that nobody's with me in it here. They're in their own, but nobody's here in this particular, right? That's what my brain says. And then Jesus says, yes, can you care for that? And can my statement be, I don't know, and I'm taking that in my don't knowing into God's heart. I'm taking my mind that doesn't know there, because the mind wants to keep getting stuck and come up with some answer, like I'm going to find comfort in that answer. And so I flounder around and like, I don't know, I'm not sure, I don't blah, 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 you know. And then socially, we'll be talking to somebody saying, I'm doing this thing. I don't know. Oh, you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. It's totally fine. It's like that also is not, that's not the thing. That's still the disconnect. The connection that we are looking for is to connect the I don't know, why is this happening again? All of this stuff is to connect the brain, the exhaustion of the brain trying to figure it out, and the GPS trying to make it make sense and bring me comfort, connecting that into God's living heart and saying, hold my not knowing. What changes when you do that in your own way? So it might not be my exact words, but it might be, how does that come through for you? You're taking your I don't know, what am I missing? And what do you hear from the divine given back to you? I'm asking for us to do that now. What do you notice happening?
I hadn't been able, my brain wasn't able to stop looping and talking and running this entire class more than I've ever had happen before. But just then, there was something broke open across my chest, and then I settled down and felt like my head was actually being held. It was like I couldn't feel my hands earlier. I couldn't rest. I could barely even do a movement. Um, Now I just feel like I will actually be able to get up out of my chair when we're done here, which even that felt like it was too much.
Right. It's so cool, guys, because we're really coming in with this mindset, and we're really taught that we have to figure things out. And that really puts us it cuts us off from the divine. And it's a big world. And if I had to go through the world now, if you told me that I would not be allowed to have access to this, I don't know if I could do it, because I can understand, I feel the frame of reference of what God brings us and then what we do on our own. But we're taught to be doing it on our own. We're taught to be doing that. And there is a rage and a radical rage and abandonment and a whole bunch of stuff and pride and all of this stuff that comes in order for me to navigate the world separate from God in this way. Even though God's gently holding us, but I'm flailing around like a lunatic, running in every direction but the entire time. We wonder why we're exhausted. And so it's about being able to bring that part of ourselves that is in that floundering rage into being cared for. That I'm actually caring for that part, and that I can be with my own rage. This morning he's saying that when you let yourself stand in this place of mystery, the more you bring to this place of mystery, the more you're going to be met. But when we're willingly putting ourselves in these positions, it feels crazy. And we'll be met there. I have to come into a lack of security, a lack of me knowing what's going to happen, a lack of all of these things, and and then let myself be met by a power that is so much greater than myself. So the more I put in, the more Christ can meet me. The more I let go of, the more Christ can meet me. I shave my head and I go and do that for 7 years and allow my identity to be something I don't know where he's taking me, and then he gives me this identity. I let go of all my money. He gives me a different type of security. So it's like, notice what you guys are letting go of when you're preparing to come this weekend, letting go of, I know I can show up with the skills I already have and I'm going to be able to be safe. Well, this is taking us all into a place where it's like we're all going to be exercising new skills this weekend. We don't know what those are because we haven't been through it yet. And it's going to be like that every single time, because he's going to give us something that we don't have from this world. We're not going to be able to get it from a book. We're only going to be able to get it from going through the experience. So we want to be divinely dependent. I love that word. I love that statement. It is divinely dependent. We are codependent or independent. I don't want to be either of those. I want to be divinely dependent. That's what I'm working towards. And codependency and independency have caused me a lot of anger and frustration and confusion. A lot of hurt. But that's what the world takes us through. So it would be codependent, independent, and what would the collapse be? There's nothing to depend on. Codependent. You guys have anything to say about that? Codependent, independent. nothing to depend on.
Nihilism comes to mind when you say that.
What is the definition of that?
Nihilism means there's nothing out there that you can depend on. You fight everything and you believe in nothing. I mean, there's a lot of that in the world right now.
So that would be
A lot of
nothing to depend on.
Yes.
Independent would be more like, I mean, if we were going to name them political structures, independent would be Republican, codependent would be Democratic. Independent, codependent. Again, both of them are still cut off because I'm either saying, get up and make it happen for yourself, or I'm saying, I got to help everybody because nobody can find their own power unless I get in there and help them. Right?
Yeah.
So it's very interesting, when we're looking at this, that, I mean, we're kind of going into a whole bunch of side roads today, but isn't it fun? We're going to be done right after this sentence here. Divinely dependent. Think about the thresholds that you've gone through in your life. And what he's saying is this repair, this divine repair that we're bringing to these thresholds is to be able to come back into that divinely dependent. That I am dependent on that mystery in how it has been revealed to my heart, to my body, to my mind. For the first 20 years of my life, it was revealed in just a consciousness. I did not name that as Jesus, the Holy Spirit, or God, because it had not yet been revealed. But it was still carrying me. It was still a voice I was connected to. It was still changing my physiology every day. So divinely dependent to the aliveness that you are intimately connected to, that you feel today. What a cool class this morning, guys. Y'all. Anybody have any last things they want to say before we reconvene at 12?
Yes, I
Go ahead.
found my brain to really latch on to the one sentence you said. This weekend, what are we letting go of?
Mm-hmm.
And letting go reminds me, I realized, of all the time where I would say, let this drain into the earth, or think positive, or, put a light around it. So can you say just a little bit more about that letting go of this weekend?
I'm letting go of my now all of you guys who've known me for a long time know this because you and I talked about this yesterday, of my flailing around, my victim frame, and I'm letting go of standing in my power in that way. I was misusing my power in trying to convey this to others. My power, and what Jesus showed me, is like, you have all these arrows of this power going out, and that's why you're so exhausted. He said, you can go through this weekend, and instead of those arrows pointing out, you can model what it is to receive this. If you can model what it is to receive this and feel that excitement building, I'm going to put one of you in the back with a little thing that goes up saying, oh, too much volume, too much coming out at us. So I can feel when that starts to happen, because he's saying, think of when you're teaching in that way and you're so excited and you're so big. And then what happens is you are depleted. If all that was coming back, this would be like you're just going out and pulling some weeds in your yard. It could be that neutral so that people can actually digest it. So the smoother the ride, the more all the parts of ourself are being cared for, rather than we're really standing in our hard identities about, I'm going to come and learn this, and I'm going to be blah, 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 or I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to do it right, so I'm not sure I want to sign up, or I'm going to do, like, we go to all these different corners versus like, how am I being led to take care of myself? What way am I doing it? For me, I just have to really take care of that part that wants to convey so much, but in that wanting to convey so much, I'm not receiving in that moment. I'm like overgiving in that moment. And so it's not necessarily a letting go, it is a caring for that part of myself as the model for what this is. How does that change how you guys see what is being expected of you for the weekend, or what you're being invited to do for the weekend?
For me, the image that comes up is like my heart opening,
Yes.
and that's it. So thank you so much. That really helped.
Yeah. And sorry, guys, that it took me a decade plus a couple months to
When
figure
you
out.
said,
Go ahead.
excuse me, no, you go ahead. Finish your sentence there.
Go ahead.
When you said overgiving, it was like I had neon lights all around me. And it wasn't for me. I wasn't overgiving. I was trying to force my giving so that
Yeah.
people would receive it, and then I would be okay with myself to know I was a great giver.
Yeah.
So if we're into the giving and it's not balanced with the receiving,
Right.
then we can get into that pushing people to receive, and then they will run away. They will
Yeah.
absolutely run away, or they will fight you. So that's my task this weekend, is to be able to give when it's appropriate and to be able to receive when it's appropriate. And
Yeah.
this will be the perfect balanced place to practice that.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing. And then it becomes like, which I think all the times that we're engaging with this practice, it becomes like, yes, I'm offering, I'm going to be maybe the practitioner or the collaborator offering to my practice partner this stroke, but really the invitation is, can I receive more than I'm giving in this moment? Can I receive more of the peace the divine is giving to me? And can I just be in that, receiving that? And because of that, theirs will work, because I'm backed up enough off their system where their system can do what it needs to do, receiving its own from God, and everybody has their own, and it's enough. That's a big change of frame in our way that we view what a therapist, a collaborator, a facilitator is in this world. And it allows the ones who think they don't have anything or can't do it or unsure to be cared for and step forward. It allows the ones that are overgiving to back up and receive their own so the other can receive theirs. And I don't know what the third one is right now, because I'm not that. I'm not that. Codependent, independent. Yeah, so I'll have it written down by this afternoon's class. But this is, I feel like I can even breathe easier because all the pressure is off. If you guys have people in your life who you think or you don't think might be interested, invite them to this weekend. Send them a link, see what they say. It's an interesting practice that Jesus is having me do. He said, you don't know who I'm speaking into their life. And if you don't make the invitation, they're not going to find it in the same way. So just invite, and then deal with your own whatever comes up around them showing up or not showing up. He's like, don't take it personal. It's not about you. But let this flow out. Let this flow out and see what happens. What a cool class this morning, guys. We're turning off now for real, and I will see you guys at 12 today. And I'm looking forward to doing this weekend. And if our nervous systems can stay where they are right now, that's going to be a miracle. for me. I'll see you guys later on today.